Welcome to Fantasia, home of the melodious. My name's Azallea, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another update to my Lunalight deck. So this deck profile is actually made under the new ban list of March 2017. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into this. Starting off with 3 copies of Lunalight Black Sheep, the main card of the deck, because you can discard this card to add 1 polymerization from your deck to your hand, which is the main fusion spell for the archetype. The other effect is that you can discard this card to add 1 Lunalight monster from your graveyard to your hand, which is nice. Sometimes you're going to grab back a blue cat and go for a pendulum summon, so you can use blue cat's effect. Also, if Black Sheep is used as a fusion material for fusion summon and sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Lunalight monster from your extra deck or your graveyard to your hand. So really nice recovery, as well as setting up all of our fusion plays. So, like I mentioned previously, we do play 3 copies of Lunalight Blue Cat, because Blue Cat is the floater of the deck, which is very important. So if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effects, you can special another Lunalight monster straight from your deck. One really important thing to note is that Blue Cat is the only level 4 Lunalight monster that we have currently in the TCG. We don't have Crimson Fox or Kaleido Chick yet, so this is actually really important for facilitating rank 4 plays. Also, if this card is special summoned, you could target 1 Lunalight monster that you control, except another Blue Cat, and then double its original attack till the end of the turn. So Blue Cat is so powerful for just boosting our fusion so we can go for mass amounts of damage and hopefully the OTK. Okay, so next off, in conjunction with Blue Cat, we play 3 copies of Lunalight Tiger. 2 excellent effects because they're both monster reborns. Also, it's also important to note that Tiger has a scale of 5, so it's really easy to pendulum summon the Blue Cat. So Tiger reads that the pendulum effect, once per turn, you can target 1 Lunalight monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but it cannot attack. Its effects are negated, and it's destroyed during the end phase. So it couples really well with something like Blue Cat, which can float during the end phase and bring out another copy of itself. Tiger's other effect is that if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or by card effect, on the field includes in the pendulum zone, which is really nice, you can special summon 1 Lunalight monster from your graveyard. And this comes with no restrictions at all, so you can summon things like your Cat Dancer or your Panther Dancer, and they can attack that turn. You can summon your Blue Cat, and they can double something that turn. So this is really powerful for setting up good plays. Very important combo card. Okay, so next off we play 1 copy of Lunalight Wolf, which is basically a miracle fusion for the deck. The pendulum effect says that you can banish Lunalight monsters that you control or in your graveyard to fusion summon a Lunalight monster from your extra deck. Its on-field effect is that if a Lunalight monster you control attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. It doesn't come up very often or really at all, but you can always summon this with a Blue Cat and swing over something in defense position. A lot of the Zodiac monsters have 0 defense, so you can just attack over all those. Inflict some big damage there. Okay. So that's it for the Lunalights. Next off, we're going to go into some of the engine cards that we have. We run 3 copies of Armageddon Knight, which is the replacement for Kaleido Chick for right now. But Armageddon Knight, when this card is summoned, you can send 1 dark monster from your deck to the graveyard. So really great for sending something like a Blue Cat, so you can set up for rank 4 plays in the future. Another target that you can send is a Blackwing Zephyros the Elite. So Zephyros says that if this card is in your graveyard, you can return 1 face-up card you control to the hand, special summon this card, and if you do, take 400 damage. You can only use this effect once per duel, but that's all you really need, because the Armageddon and Zephyros help you set up rank 4 plays. Okay, so the other 2 monsters that I play are the Kage Tokage. New addition to the deck, because I found out that you really need to get your rank 4 plays off. You need to get to the Zodiac Broad Bowls for your search. So this really helps in terms of setting up the rank 4 plays. If you normal summon something like an Armageddon Knight, you can special summon the Kage Tokage. I found that the previous build relied way too heavily on Armageddon Knight setting up the graveyard for your plays. So now with Kage Tokage, if you have like a Blue Cat, if you open with a Zephyros or any other level 4, you can special summon the Kage Tokage from your hand. You don't even need the Armageddon Knight to go off. So this is just like another way to facilitate our extra deck plays. Speaking of more extra deck plays, we have play 1 copy of Perform Mage Trick Clown, which is a nice little floater, and 1 copy of Gem Knight Amber. These are our Brilliant Fusion targets. There's no particular reason that I run Amber, just as long as you run a level 4 Gem Knight, it doesn't really matter what you run to send off of Brilliant Fusion. I just like the look of Amber, so that's why I chose Amber. Okay, so to close off the monster lineup, we have some hand traps. We play 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Highly recommend this for this format. It hits so many different decks, Zodiacs, Metalfoes, you name it. Excellent hand trap, and really great to draw into if your opponent's comboing off and you drop off a Max C on them. So Max C, limited on the most recent ban list, but still definitely worthy of a spot in your deck. So highly recommend you run the copy that you can. So yeah, that's it for the monsters. Next off, we're going to go into the spell cards. Okay, so starting off the spell lineup, we play 3 copies of Fire Formation Tenki, which is the searcher for the deck. Searches any Beast Warrior type monster that's level 4 or lower, which is really great for grabbing all of our Lunalight stuff except for Wolf, which isn't too important because we have other ways to search it. Tenki also gives our Beast Warrior types a 100 attack boost. Might seem stupid, it might seem a little too negligible, but it actually does come in handy with Lunalights when you're attacking several times with your fusion monsters in a single battle phase. Okay, so next off we play 3 copies of Brilliant Fusion, the card that facilitates so many plays. Because we have so many cards that need to be normal summoned in order to get onto the field, Brilliant Fusion helps us with that because Seraphonite can give us double normal summons. You can also send Trick Clown with the Brilliant Fusion to basically get a free level 4 body on the field. So if you have another level 4 in your hand, you can go for your Zodiac Broad Bowl searches in place. So that's why that's there. Really good new addition to the deck, absolutely love it. And with Max C at 1 now, it's less of a chance that your opponent's going to drop the Max C on your Brilliant Fusion, yada yada yada, right? So you can just combo off without fear of them drawing 2 billion cards. Okay, so next off we play 2 copies of Polymerization, the main fusion spell of the deck. And we complement that with 1 copy of Fusion Substitute, which has been gaining a lot of popularity within Zodiac builds. But yeah, we can do some of the Zodiac loops and draw combos as well because we have so many fusion spells. Although that doesn't really come up as often as the Zodiac decks do. Okay, so because we run out of our fusion spells really quickly, if you're going for a big first turn field, you actually have to use 2 of your fusion spells. Usually you use 1 copy of Polymerization and 1 copy of Fusion Substitute, so we need ways to get them back. So bumped up Fusion Recovery to 2 copies. It's really great for opening with now if you're trying to set up first turn fields. It's also really great to just draw into if you're in your late game and you just recover resources. I wouldn't run 3. You don't really want to see 2 copies in your hand, in your opening hand, because that means you only have 3 others to work with, but it is really good for extending your combos. So highly recommend 1 to 2 copies. I'm leaning toward the side of 2 right now. Okay, so next off, we run 2 copies of Instant Fusion to more fusion cards, right? This facilitates the Norden and helps us make more rank 4 plays, because again, rank 4s are very important right now in Lunalights to set up for our fusion plays. It's also really good to bait out things like Dimensional Barrier and things like that, so it's also just good for that. And also 2 copies, they're almost never going to be dead. You can always put Norden back with your Fusion Substitute, or like Daigusto Emerald or something like that. Okay, so next off, playing 2 copies of Lunalight Perfume. Cut this down from 3 to 2 because I had to make room for some other things like the Brilliant Fusion engine. So I found that 2 Perfume was still completely fine. There's so many revival cards that we could potentially open with that just cutting 1 Perfume didn't make too much of a difference, especially now that we have Kage Tokages and other things that can summon themselves from the hand. Perfume is still really good though as a searcher, so you can banish this card from your graveyard and discard 1 card, add 1 Lunalight monster from your deck to your hand. No restrictions, so this can actually easily search Wolf. So that's why, you know, Tenki not being able to search Wolf is not too big of a problem. None of the effects on Lunalight Perfume are once per turn, so if you open multiples, you know, you can just revive a bunch of things, search a bunch of things, whatever you need to do at the moment. Okay, so next off we run 2 copies of Allure of Darkness, which is a nice draw power to the deck. Cut this down from 3 to 2. Originally just cut it from my build during testing, but I found that with the addition of Kage Tokages and stuff, I have extra dark monsters that can be used as fodder for the Allure of Darkness. Really iffy on this card because sometimes you're going to have it, but you don't have any dark monsters that you want to get rid of, that you want to banish with this card. Sometimes you have it and you don't have any monsters whatsoever, and you don't want to gamble with it. So Allure of Darkness, I don't know, sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. I think 2 copies is pretty good for right now for all the dark monsters that we do play. I really wish that Tiger and Wolf were darks, though. That would actually make Allure so much better, that you have so many more targets to use. Okay, so speaking of consistency boost, we play 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army to search out our Armageddon Knight, because Armageddon Knight is still a key starter card for the deck. So 1 copy of that, and then we end the spell lineup with 1 copy of Raigeki. For the field clears, we don't play any Twin Twisters or anything like that for spell and trap removal. Most of the problems that we have are with monsters like Drydet and things popping our combo pieces. So if we get rid of that, we should be fine. It's also because Zodiacs now, they're so much more fragile because they only have 2 rats. So if you drop a Raigeki on them, their ability to come back from that first turn field of like drawing a bunch with the Daigusto Emerald Loops and Fusion Substitute and Norden is just so much lower. So yeah, Raigeki's pretty good for that. And that does it for the main deck. So next off, we're going to go into the side deck. Alright, so starting off the side deck, we play 2 copies of DD Crow. Now, DD Crow is a dark attribute monster, so if you don't need it at the moment, you can always Allure of Darkness it away. But DD Crow is so good against so many of the top decks right now. It is unbelievable. It hits things like Zodiacs, Infernoids, Paleozoics, Metaphors, and Invoked. You can hit Invocation, Metaphors Fusion. You can hit the Infernoid monsters. You can hit Fairy Tale Snow. You can hit the Paleozoic trap cards. You can hit the Ronin Totems. You can even hit Zodiacs, their Rat Peers, their Nordens, their Fusion Substitutes, anything to stop their combos. This is such a great card. And I play 2 because it's pretty easy to draw into it with your draw power of Allure of Darkness and Daigusto Emerald and things like that. So I found it to be good enough. Next off, we play 2 copies of Denko Sekka, which is absolutely amazing and has so much synergy with this build, because what you can do is you can normal summon your Denko Sekka against decks like Paleozoics, lock out all their back row, then use your Brilliant Fusion. You can summon out your Trick Clowns and everything, gain the additional normal summon another level 4, and then just start going off. This is absolutely ridiculous, and people are finally realizing how good Paleozoics are after they win 2 YCSs. So Denko Sekka against the ever-growing popular Paleozoic deck, especially since they didn't get touched at all on the ban list. They got buffed with the addition of things like Imperial Order. Okay, so next off, we play 3 copies of Artifact Lancia. This you contribute this card from your hand or your side of the field, and neither player can banish cards for the rest of the turn. You can only do this effect on your opponent's turn, but it's fine because you're stopping your opponent's Infernoids, you're stopping their Fairy Tale Snows, you're basically stopping their entire string of plays for the turn, right? So Lancia is really good for that. It's also really great against Invoked, so they can't banish their Alistair and stuff from the graveyard and go for the fusion plays. So it's really great there too. Okay, so next off we play 2 copies of Dark Hole for going second. The build that I have right now tends to like to go first, so you set up your Drydet, you set up like an Emerald or another rank 4. You can even set up Hope Harbinger. So Dark Hole and stuff you side in when you're going second, when your opponent chooses to go first, so you can wipe their fields. And like I said, Zodiacs are very fragile right now, so siding in Dark Hole against them is pretty good. Okay, next off we play some spell and trap removal, a lot of it actually, 3 copies of Twin Twisters, just to get rid of all that back row for going second, especially against decks like Paleozoics. This is really good. Clear out everything. You can clear out the Zodiac back rows so you don't run into strikes, barriers, and all that, or you can bait out the barriers at least, because they have to decide, do I want to call Fusion, do I want to call XYZ, and you can always go to whatever option that they don't call, because Lunalights have that flexibility. Okay, so the last card in the side deck, we run 3 copies of Grisaille Prison, because this is basically like a dimensional barrier, but more fair, obviously, because it supports the lesser summoning methods like rituals, tributes, and fusions, and it shuts down things like XYZs and Synchros, so it's really good against decks like the Wind Witch, Artifact Invoked, whatever stuff, good against Zodiacs, good against Paleozoics. Definitely recommend siding this for the Zodiac matchup, though. It's really easy for us to get a fusion monster on the field, because you can get Seraphonite, as long as you have a Seraphonite on the field from Brilliant Fusion that's already making Grisaille live. You can go into your Cat Dancer or Panther Dancer, whichever you feel more comfortable with, and Grisaille Prison helps protect you as well if you have that setup. Okay, so that does it for the side deck. Next off, I'm going to go into the extra deck. Okay, so starting off the extra deck, we play one copy of the best card ever, Zodiac Tiger Mortar. Look how cute she is. Anyway, Tiger Mortar is really only here as an intermediary to climb from one Broad Bowl to the other. She does have a decent effect though, where you can detach one XYZ material from this card, target one Zodiac monster in your graveyard, and attach it to an XYZ monster that you control as an XYZ material. So you can refuel a lot of your XYZs with it, Daigusto Emerald and stuff like that if they survive a turn. So Tiger Mortar's alright. I suggest playing one copy just to climb into the Broad Bowls. Speaking of Broad Bowl, we play two copies of Zodiac Broad Bowl because it is so important to the deck right now. Requires two level 4 monsters, which is why, I have the Kageto Kages, Armageddon Knights, Lunalight Blue Cats, very important for this as well. Zephyros, all those level 4s, Trick Clown, and things like that. It's all revolving around this card because once per turn you can detach an XYZ material from this card and add one Beast Warrior type monster from your deck to your hand. So this has no restrictions on its searches, so you can search Lunalight Wolf and stuff with it as well. But it's really easy for us to gain searches with Broad Bowl. So you would summon your Broad Bowl with two XYZ materials, the two level 4s, search with the Broad Bowl, overlay the Tiger Mortar on top of it, and overlay another Broad Bowl, grab another search with the Broad Bowl. So it's just really great for setting up the searches, setting up the plays. Two searches means that we can easily set up a fusion summon if you grab a Black Sheep and if you grab a Lunalight Tiger, because the next card, Zodiac Trident, is really nice as well. You can pop your own Tiger with this. You can detach one XYZ material from this card, target one face-up card on the field, and destroy it. So you can trigger your own Tiger during your turn. During your opponent's turn becomes disruption, like a Raigeki break. You can target one of your opponent's cards, destroy it, so they can't overlay, they can't synchro, they can't do all those shenanigans as well. So very powerful card. Next off, we play two copies of Daigusto Emerald. I bumped this card up from one because recycling resources is so important. This format is a little more grindy than all the others that we've previously been in, where it's all very OTK heavy and stuff. A lot of decks right now like to go for the resource plays and go for the grind, more of a stun-based format. So two copies of Daigusto Emerald. Daigusto Emerald, if you have one in your graveyard, this one can recycle this one back to your extra deck. So you have this loop of Daigusto Emerald going on, and they give you some pretty good draws as well. So yeah, Emerald, just really great card. Can recycle all of your Zodiac stuff as well, because we don't play a huge variety of rank 4s. The only ones we really do have are two copies of Broad Bowl, two copies of Emerald, and one copy of Castell, which is used to spin some cards back. An important thing with Daigusto Emerald though, the Gem Knight that we run is treated as a normal monster when it's in the graveyard. So you, instead of shuffling 3 cards back, you can always use Emerald's effect to special summon the Gem Knight from our graveyard, which is alright because then we can use it as additional rank 4 fodder if we need it for that. Anyway, to cap off the XYZs, we play one copy of number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. That's a mouthful. It is a rank 8 monster, which we can summon with 2 copies of Panther Dancer. There's actually a really neat combo where you can do to get this card out on your first turn alongside a Trident. And if you open well enough, you can get Trident, Emerald, and a Titanic Galaxy on the field all at once, which is really great because of his effects. So once per turn, during either player's turn, when a spell card or an effect is activated, you can negate the activation of the effect, and if you do, attach that card to this card's XYZ material. And also, when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you get to detach one XYZ material from this card, change the attack target to this card, and then perform damage calculation. And also, if another XYZ monster that you control is destroyed, you can target one XYZ card on the field, and it gains the attack of the destroyed monster. So many different effects. What does this mean? Why is it important? So you can negate so many good spells with this. You can negate Raigeki, Twin Twisters, your opponent's power plays, essentially. You can negate their Zodiac Barrage, and things like that as well. And the other effect is really important because Trident is going to have 0 attack, 0 defense. So when you have your Harbinger on the field and your opponent's trying to attack your Trident, most people don't remember that Harbinger has the effect of protect things from battle by redirecting attacks. So you can redirect the attack to the Harbinger, and then your opponent's monster will die. They'll just be like, what? I don't understand what's going on. So yeah, Harbinger, really great card to the deck. Kind of difficult to bring out, but it's really, really worth it, especially against decks like Kaiju Zodiacs. If they don't open with a Kaiju and they have Slumber, they can't Slumber you. Slumber's at 2 now, so a little less of a problem, but still something to keep an eye out for. So yeah, that does it for the extra deck monsters. Next off, I'm going to go into the fusions. So, starting off the fusion monsters, we play 1 copy of Elder Entity Norden. Norden is great for an instant fusion target to bring out, and then he can summon another level 4, and then we can go for rank 4 plays. You can also bring things back like your Maxi, your Ghost Ogre, your Black Sheeps, and then you can use Zephyros and bounce whatever Norden brought back to your hand. So if you brought back a Maxi, Zephyros can bounce the Maxi back to your hand, and boom, you have Norden and Zephyros, which can go for rank 4 plays, and then you bounce the Maxi, Ghost Ogre, whatever you need to go use as a hand trap for next turn, or if you bounce the Black Sheep to search another polymerization. Norden has so many uses in this deck. You can also summon this card normally using, a polymerization or fusion substitute on 2 XYZ monsters on the field that we control. So you can fuse, a used Emerald or like a Dryden with no materials, go for Norden, extend your plays, make that Gusto Emerald, shuffle things back. So it's really great like that as well. Very powerful card indeed. Okay, next off we run 1 copy of Gem Knight Seraphonite, which is our brilliant fusion target. This is really great because it sends the Trick Clown. Trick Clown is the level 4 that we can use, and also this grants us 2 normal summons. So you get an additional normal summon or set to your first one, so this is really good for just facilitating a lot of our summons, getting cards out of our hand into play onto the field to go for XYZs or fusions. So that's always really nice. So next off for the Lunalight fusions, we play 2 copies of Lunalight Cat Dancer. Cat Dancer is the first stage of the fusions, requires 2 Lunalight monsters, and every time it attacks, you inflict 100 burn damage to your opponent, which sucks. I hate that effect because it's mandatory, and every time you try to attack with this, you get Ghost Ogred, which is a very popular hand trap in this format. But the cool thing about Cat Dancer is that she cannot be destroyed by battle, and not a lot of people know that. So if you summon her defense position, whatever, on your first turn, if you have a Grisaille Prison, not only can your opponent not do the XYZ plays and stuff, but they can't get rid of this Cat Dancer either by battle. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, you can also tribute another Lunalight monster that you control, and this card can attack twice. Each monster that your opponent controls twice during the battle phase. So it's really great for just clearing fields, although I do prefer the second stage more, the Lunalight Panther Dancer, which we played 2 copies of. She is a level 8, so if you can summon 2 of these in the same turn, which is not too hard with Lunalight Wolf, you can easily go for a Titanic Galaxy. This is also really great even if you don't go first, if you make double Panther Dancers sometime in a single turn, after you've attacked with all of them during your main phase 2, you can make the Harbinger to protect your field. So there's a utility in this card that a lot of people don't see. Now, Panther Dancer, she cannot be destroyed by card effects, and her other effect is that you can activate it during your main phase. Don't forget to do that before entering the battle phase. You can attack every monster your opponent controls twice each. The first time they're not destroyed by battle, and the second time they are. So that's very important to note. Panther Dancer is basically the boss monster of the deck. You OTK really, really hard with this card. If you boost it up with a Blue Cat, it's going to be 5600 attack, and it's just really, really devastating to your opponent, and it can clear out the entire field, potentially. Especially with things like rogue decks like Cosmos and stuff that are still running around. Cosmos, even though they can float, Panther Dancer can still attack through everything, unless they summon a Wicked Witch or something like that, but, shh. Okay, so the last card of the extra deck, we play 1 copy of Lunalight Leo Dancer. This is a game-ending card. You really don't want to summon this unless, you're going for game. Requires a Panther Dancer and 2 Lunalight monsters. She can attack twice during each battle phase. She cannot be destroyed by battle, and she cannot be targeted by card effects. So she is the most protected, I guess you could say, monster of all the fusions. But yeah, you really don't want to summon her unless you're going for game. The cool thing, though, is that if you make a Harbinger and you use the 2 Panther Dancers, if you use Harbinger's effect to redirect attacks, you can put a Panther Dancer into the graveyard. Then you can use the Wolf in your Pendulum Scale, banish that Panther Dancer and 2 of the Lunalight monsters to summon a Leo Dancer out. So really good in that regard, and yeah. So that does it for the extra deck, and that does it for the deck profile. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe for more Lunalight content, and leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to improve. And until next time, take care.